Hello, chess friends, and welcome to Azarov's chess channel, and welcome to a special story that happened a couple of days ago. It's about this top grandmaster Alireza Firouzja, the chess prodigy from Iran. He crushed Magnus Carlsen in this Banter Blitz Cup in 2020 with a result of 8.5 and to 7.5. It was really incredible match battle. I'm sure that everyone has watched it, and this video that I'm making today, it's not about so much maybe to disrespect Magnus Carlsen. Of course, he is one of the best chess players in history. It's really about to praise really Alireza Firouzja's incredible improvement in a couple of months, in a couple of years, because he is, think, maybe the next world champion. I have to say it like this. And I've analyzed now all of these games that have been played in this Banter Blitz Club between Magnus Carlsen and Alireza Firouzja, and I've come to this conclusion that he has everything. Alireza has everything. He has opening preparation, tactical skills, so fast development style, really tricky opening preparations. In this last game that he crushed Magnus Carlsen, he played really great theoretical novelties. I'm not sure if they are a result of his home preparation, or did he play them intuitive in this blitz format. But I think that he has everything to become the next world champion. I wish him all of the best. I wish also Magnus Carlsen the best. I don't want really to disrespect anyone, but it's really incredible how someone with 16 years can play chess like this, and especially in this time format, in this 3+0 that they were playing. And I really want to watch his career further, because we have now really great chess prodigies like Pragnananda, Abhimanyu Mishra. We have Alireza Firouzja now. We have also many Indian chess prodigies. So the chess world doesn't have to worry. I think we'll have some great matches, some great battles also for the world championship throne. Although now, of course, everything is stopped a little bit due to this coronavirus thing, but still, in the future, I think we'll have great games, and the chess world, as I said, doesn't need to worry. We'll have a great chess future, I think, especially with this guy, with Alireza Firouzja. And today, I wanted to show you what, in my opinion, was a game that really showed his potential, showed also a couple of mistakes by him, but it's of course natural because they played this 3+0 blitz games. But it's really incredible how he a little bit outplayed Magnus Carlsen in the opening, and that's the game I wanted to show you. It's from this Sicilian defense, from the French variation. Magnus played the move e4. Alireza responded with the move c5, and Alireza basically played in this match game the same opening, and Magnus didn't find any good lines against this French variation of the Sicilian. Basically, Magnus didn't win any games in this opening, so I can see that really Alireza has a great opening preparation in this particular opening here. Knight to f6 was played, and now e6. We have the French variation, and now g3. Playing sort of fianchetto style, which is also a common idea, and now knight to c6. Bishop to g2, knight to f6. E5 doesn't bring you so much. It can be met, of course, immediately with knight to g4, so that's why Magnus tried to defend d3, and now d5. And this opening, this French variation of the Sicilian, it's really great. It's really natural because you have already two advanced pawns in the center. You have challenged your opponent's center, which is the most important thing, and now queen to e2. Magnus goes into a sort of a King's Indian setup, King's Indian attack style, and of course his idea will be to play something like e5, and he hopes, of course, that black is going to castle into the attack, because there Magnus Carlsen will have the advantage, and he'll try maybe h4, h5 pawn breakthroughs, and will create an early flank attack. But that's what I meant about this positional understanding of Alireza Firouzja, because he didn't castle on the king side. He castled on the queen side. He realized, of course, the problems after potential e5. Okay, he simply continued with the move bishop to e7. Magnus played the move e5, attacking the knight to d7, attacking this pawn on e5, and now c4. In the game, queen to c7 was played, attacking this e5 weakness. If we grab this pawn, it could be really dangerous, but Magnus first, of course, counterattacked with the move c takes d5, and we have e takes d5. And if we evaluate now the pawn structure in the center, it's a little bit loose. There are many weaknesses. This could be weakness. The d3 could be weakness. Also, Alireza's pawns could be a weakness. But from a pawn structure point of view, this is, of course, better when we have these two connected pawns. They play this very important restriction role in the center, and now Magnus, of course, relies on his pawn on e5, which is the main space advantage in his game. But after knight to c6, he already, of course, challenges black center, and what Magnus probably was hoping for, that Alireza will go and play something like d5, d4, because of course you can kick away the knight, but that's not a problem. Then the pawn structure is not so firm anymore, and Alireza, that's why defended first the pawn on d5, and Magnus goes for bishop to f4. A better idea for Magnus would have been to play maybe knight to b5, immediately attacking the queen after something like queen to d8, then knight to d6. It's very dangerous after bishop takes d6, e takes d6, discoverably attacking the king, and now bishop to e6 would be sort of force move, and maybe now bishop to f4, protecting this pawn. Still, it could be a weakness in Magnus' position, but okay, it's a good thing, I think, here to proceed with the bishop pair. In the game, bishop to f4, played by Magnus, with also some discovered attack possibilities with e6, so that's why Alireza closed the center with the move bishop to e6. Now h4, and Magnus goes immediately for this flank attack on the king side, hoping, as I said, Alireza to castle on the king side, but here simply queen to d7. Now this knight to b5 is not such a powerful idea because it doesn't come with a tempo the queen has removed, and Alireza played this very important bishop battery, a queen on bishop battery, hoping now Magnus to castle on the king side, because then we could trade off maybe the light square bishops and create further weaknesses on light squares if Magnus castles, and Magnus castled anyway, with and now h6. This is a great move by Alireza Firouzja, I think, because we have now immediately the possibility to even sacrifice a pawn g5, opening the h file. The main idea of this queen on bishop battery is, of course, to play something like bishop to h3, trade off the light square bishops, and maybe if the h file opens, try even some checkmates on the h file. So in the game, queen to d2, played by Magnus, not allowing this g5 pawn breakthroughs, because, as I said, if we deflect a little bit these pieces from the defense of this e5, then of course the knight can come very actively into the game. So that's why it's very important for Magnus to cover this g5 square even with the queen. And now Alireza castled queenside. So when we watch this game from this opposite side, that game, as I always like to say, we have now this kings on opposite sides. It means we'll have an opposite side attacking. White will try fast attacks on the queen side, try to maybe open the position, and also black will try to open the king side somehow. And if we evaluate this position immediately, I think black is a little bit faster, because black has always immediately the opportunity to play the move g5. In the game, a4 was played, and now Alireza played the move a5, not allowing some pawn breakthroughs here, some attacks. And the good thing about this setup, you see how Alireza remaneuvered a little bit the knights. We have still the knights in front of the king, still have good protectors, although we have already weakened our pawn structure with the move a5, but you don't want to do that, of course, if you don't have defenders. These knights are perfectly fine. So here in the game, knight to b5, played by Carlsen, and now you see sacrificing a pawn here by Alireza, g5, immediately cracking the position, h takes g, knight takes, bishop takes, and now bishop takes g5. It comes with an attack on the rook, and here Alireza played this very interesting idea, bishop to h3. The rook is hanging, but that's not a problem, because let's see a possible continuation if the Magnus, for instance, would have taken this rook. It's not a problem because we have first bishop to g2. You have to bring your bishop back, because taking out the knight here on b6 is not an option, because then the queen comes into the game here on h3, so you would be forced to close the h file. But now simply bishop takes f1, rook takes f1, and now rook takes h4 is even the possibility, sacrificing the rook for the exchange. G takes h, and now queen to g4. You see here Alireza can play at least for a perpetual check, but it's, I think, even slightly better for black, because here after something like king to h2 we can simply takes, and now here knight takes e5, taking out this very important centralized pawn here, and now combined with this queen, white is really endangered here, so I think black has a comfortable game. So in the game, after the move bishop to h3, Magnus played f4, trying to get the queen here into the defense. At least we don't have any more worries that we are going to be checkmated on the h file. And here Alireza took, Magnus took the bishop on g2, and now rook to g8. You see how these rooks come very actively into the game. Magnus Carlsen's rooks haven't made progress already, so here very nice attack so far by Alireza. Bishop to f6, attacking the rook, rook to h6, and now king to f2. Hiding the king behind these pawns, the king is okay. The king is not so endangered anymore, but the problem for Magnus here is that you don't know how to activate the rooks, because first of all we have the weakness on a4, because you have advanced the pawn. If you try here to compete on the h file with the rooks, you lose simply a pawn. I think black has here a more compact position with the pieces. Still nothing has happened here in front of black's king. These knights are perfectly fine, although down a pawn. Black has, I think, a comfortable game here. So here, rook to g6, you see, it's very easy now for Alireza to find the best attacking moves. Bishop to h4, king to b8, and now rook to c1. Very interesting idea by Magnus, trying to really get some kind of an activity here on the queen side, because his attack on the queen side is a little bit splashed. Here, after move rook to c1, attacking the c5 pawn, I really like how Alireza plays, how he sees his tactics very fastly, very easily. He plays the move knight to b4, because you cannot take, you get the fork on d3. That's why here queen to f3 was played, and here Alireza simply takes this weak pawn, as I said, this pawn on a4, and here is Alireza, I think, has a control of the game. In the game, knight to d6 was played. We have knight takes b2, again grabbing another pawn, now again attacking this weakness on d3 twice, and now rook to c3, played by Magnus. And again, Alireza shows really his creativity in chess. Of course, he plays rook takes d6, after he takes d6, queen takes d6. Again, now we have 2 pawns and the minor piece for the rook. It's perfectly fine. Still, this king is really on an unnatural square. In the game, Magnus tried to attack here with the move rook to b3, and now knight to a4, regrouping again, rook to a1, and now b5. Now everything is protected. We don't have any worries. What you want to do is, of course, get use of this pawn storm, now creating some pass pawns, also with support of this knight. It's very dangerous here already for Magnus. Queen to e2, trying to get the queen on this open file, combined with the rook, trying maybe to infiltrate somehow in black's position. In the game c4, we have d takes c, d takes c4, and now rook to e3. And here Alireza makes, I think, really the first mistake. There were slightly inaccuracies, but here the mistake was he played the move knight to c5, not protecting this e8 square. Here Magnus could have gone here with the common idea to play rook to e8, after rook takes e8, queen takes e8, and you would be forced now to play king to c7, and now rook takes a5 is the possibility. Maybe knight to e4 can save the position, because you cannot take. Here queen takes e4 is not a possibility, because rook to queen to b6 is the tactical threat. This was really unnecessary by Alireza here. Instead of this knight to c5 move, he should have played simply here the move queen to c6, protecting this weakness on e8, and again Black has a comfortable game here, but in the game, as I said, he played the move knight to c5, and Magnus didn't play rook to e8. He took the pawn on on a5, and this allows now Alireza to regroup with the move knight to d3. We have king to f1, and now queen to c6. Very important move with some dangerous checkmate possibilities even here on h1. So that's why Magnus had to compete with queen to f3, knight to d5, attacking the rook, and now Magnus simply gave up back the exchange. Rook takes d3, we have c takes d3, and now queen takes d3. Here I think now we have an equalized game. Still, Alireza has, of course, a little bit a naked king, but also Magnus has some worries in the game. Knight to c7, protecting the b5 pawn, and now Magnus played really a mistake. King to f2, and this allows now Alireza to take the rook with the check. Queen to b6, king to g1, g2, and now queen takes a5. Basically, it was game over, but let's see the last couple of moves. Bishop to f6. Here Alireza played queen to a8, attacking the king, king to f2, and now queen to c6, keeping the position of the pieces compact. Of course, no checks are possible. Here bishop to e5, and now king to b7, getting out of the range of the bishop. Queen to b3, knight to d5. Here rook, queen to a3, rook to c8. What Alireza is trying is, of course, the main idea is here simply to trade off some more pieces, but in the game queen to f3 was played, and here after queen to c2, Magnus Carlsen resigned, because whatever you do, maybe king to f1, we can play queen to d2, and now the main tactical threat is here rook to c1. Okay, this was really an incredible match game in this Banter Blitz Club 2020. Great games they both played. I decided to show this one. I think it shows really some great opening preparations by Alireza, some great tactical skills. You saw there were also some mistakes, but it's of course understandable because this was really a fast format, and I really enjoyed to watch their games. We'll see Alireza in the future, I'm sure, again fighting against Magnus Carlsen, and Magnus Carlsen he said that he's incredibly strong, meaning get some this kind of admiration by the world champion. It's really incredible thing. I think the only player that Magnus maybe fears today is Alireza Firouzja. I don't think that he fears like players like Caruana, maybe Hikaru Nakamura. I think this guy is the one that Magnus Carlsen has to fear, and we'll see what will happen in the future. As I said, chess has a bright future. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed them a lot. Meanwhile, you can watch my other commented chess games that I've analyzed so far, and you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.